Guys, so people consistently ask me and wonder, how the hell have I been able to have this seemingly really rapid growth? Because they can't understand how someone who started with just 800 chickens 6 years back can already be at this scale, you know, performing at this scale, having all these poultry houses, having all these other types of farms. And I mean, I totally understand. Just 6 years ago, I had completely nothing. I was just working as a doctor, a graduate doctor. I just graduated as a doctor. And I used my dad's piece of land, 1/3 of an acre, for me to start. Here I am right now, and I own like multiple acres. So how have I been able to grow? And if I can just summarize it, I'll tell you. Consistent, small, positive changes. That's what I can say, if I can just choose to summarize everything that has enabled me to get to this point, yeah? And a lot of people don't understand what the importance of that is. A lot of people will actually sit down and start thinking that there is probably some, you know, really rich guy, or I don't know, some powerful person behind me that's enabling me to get to this point. And it's understandable for them to think that way, because a lot of people don't understand the value of time and small positive changes each and every day. How such a thing can actually impact your life, and how it can certainly improve your life. But I personally have been able to see it now. 6 years might seem like a short time, but 6 years of doing the right things is actually a really long time, yeah? If I tell you to start doing something today, and I tell you that you're going to get the results of it in 6 years, most of you are not going to do it, yeah? You'll be like, no way. 6 years is too much, yeah? I'm like, hey, David, you know, 6 years from now, if you start doing this thing each and every day, you're going to have your life completely changed. A lot of the people will be like, no way, doctor, I would rather do something that takes me 6 months or 3 months, you know. I believe my life can be changed in 3 months. I'll give you my honest opinion. There are no shortcuts in life, yeah? Most of the things that actually involve shortcuts tend to end up in being very disastrous. That's why people, you know, get involved in scams, you know, multi-level marketing schemes that end up stealing their money or things like that, because they want these quick returns. In the long run, if you look at them over a long time, you notice that in the short time, it might have seemed to be positive, but you look at them after 5 years, after 10 years, most of them are average. So you want to do things that involve small changes, but in the long run, they're going to change your life. And that's what we are doing right now, yeah? That's what we are implementing right now. That's what I have been implementing. I'll give you a few examples, for example, for the things I've done. Initially, when I was starting out on the farm, everything that I had on the farm was manual. Yeah, it was literally manual. So I built a poultry house, just like the poultry house you see in that area like that. Of course, I built it a little bit differently. It was using bricks, not complete iron sheets like that. And then the feeders that I had inside the poultry house, those were, well, a little bit, but the drinkers, I was using manual drinkers, yeah? So someone had to put in water and things like that, and then we get it out and things like that. And slowly, I moved on to the more automated drinkers. At that point, I got a water tank, yeah, where I was harvesting rainwater. It didn't give me very good results, but with time, I managed to then move on to getting the national water grid. That now started supplying me the water. I got a constant or better supply of water. I wouldn't say constant because sometimes it would be off. A better supply of water. But the problem with it is that it was too expensive. And then not so far back, I decided to buy myself or build myself a borehole. Yeah, and that's what's supplying me. Now, that's slow, consistent improvements that have enabled me to get there. Yeah. Another one that is probably going to be changing very soon is, you guys see that we have a lot of grass around the compound. And even up to now, the guys slash the compound using hands. They just use their hands to consistently keep slashing, yeah? And I mean, a poultry farm needs to be kept neat. It needs to be kept beautiful, because if you don't, you're going to have like tall bushes growing, and tall bushes means, you know, rodents can start multiplying in there. Once rodents start multiplying, you have diseases coming around. Recently, I had a problem on my farm where rodents, that is rats, were literally eating my chickens. You don't want that to happen, yeah? But I could easily have bought myself a machine for slashing the farm, yeah? But I don't have inexhaustible money, yeah? I mean, if I needed to buy myself a machine, right now, we are doing cleaning. Right there, we have some poultry houses, yeah? So we are doing cleaning of those poultry houses, and the guys are using a pressure washer, yeah? Before, initially, when I said I didn't have a pressure washer, the guys had to clean using hands. So a pressure washer would never have surfaced at that point. But then I got to a point where I could buy the pressure washer, yeah? So small, tiny, little increments each and every day. The one thing that I have seen causes a lot of big farmers to collapse is that you'll find that a lot of farmers start at the beginning and the person thinks, oh, I have like, $100,000, $200,000 at my exposure, yeah? So I want to start my farm. I want my farm to be like Dr. Daniel's farm. And so they go outside there and they do everything at once because they feel like they might have the money, yeah? So they try to do everything at once. And once they try to do everything at once, they think they have the ability, yeah? Because having the money doesn't mean you have the ability, yeah? They think they have the ability to go big at the beginning because they have the money to get everything that is required. Guys, the one thing that you completely have no idea about that's actually very important is experience, yeah? Experience is very important. Experience in carrying out the day-to-day activities that do happen on the farm is very, very crucial, very important, yeah? And if you don't have that experience, it's a waste of time, yeah? Now, what I have been able to do is to leverage this experience over time while implementing small, tiny improvements. Initially, when I started out, my feed price was very, very high. I mean, it was very high, yeah? And slowly by slowly, I started bringing the feed cost down, yeah? So I started by moving over to a concentrate, yeah, which is like a 20% concentrate. That brought my feed cost down. At that point, though, I was still buying maize and having it milled somewhere else because I didn't have the money to mill it. After that, the next point was I decided to move on to mixing my own feed, yeah? So now what I would do is that I would buy these raw materials like soya meal, sunflower meal, limestone, and all these things. And now I literally just use a premix to make my feed, yeah? That also brought my cost down. Then the next step was buying a milling machine, yeah? Because now instead of milling the maize from outside, I decided to be milling it from inside. That saves me a lot of money, because I mean, if you look at how much it would cost me to mill 10 tons of maize, it's a lot of money, yeah? So if I could just mill it myself on the farm, that actually saves me a lot of money. So it saved me like 70%. By just milling the feed inside, it saved me 70% of the cost of milling the maize outside, yeah? So that also becomes better. And then after that, my next step right now is I'm going to get a machine for mixing the feed. So up to now, the guys still mix the feed using shovels, using their hands and using shovels, yeah? And you might be like, hey, Dr. Daniel, how can you farm at a capacity of 15,000? How can people be mixing feed using shovels? I'd be like, well, I don't have inexhaustible funds. Yeah, I don't, yeah? If I decided to utilize the money that I have to buy everything that I do need, then the farm would never get on. It would never move on. I would just never have what I need, yeah? So right now, I'm hoping that, very soon I'm going to be getting a machine for mixing the feed. That way the guys don't have to use shovels, yeah, for mixing the feed. It makes the mixing way more efficient, number one, but also quicker. And so the guys can get to do other things that we've been wasting time on while doing the mixing, yeah? But you can see, I didn't start with all this equipment at the beginning. No, it was slow, incremental, positive changes. And every time I make these changes, I make sure that the people understand the rationale of these changes, Where are these changes coming from? Why have I chosen to implement it this way and not that way, yeah? That is very, very important because once the people understand why we are doing things that way, then it becomes easy for them to implement the change. If they don't understand why we are doing it that way, it becomes difficult for them to implement the change. So yes, slow, positive changes. And it's these slow, positive changes that have gotten me from the hassle, the difficulty that I had at the beginning. When I started out, I was losing a lot of money. To consistently getting to this point, guys, I have a flock right now that's giving me like 99% production, yeah? It's quite unbelievable, but 99% production. Very, very unbelievable, but real. But why? Because we keep implementing these changes. And I mean, these are the very same changes that I've actually put inside the Farm Up Academy. If you want to start your farm and, grow and scale your farm, or if you're having your farm and your farm is actually giving you problems, then you don't need to go through the same 6 years that I have gone through, because I wasted a lot of time, I lost a lot of money, going through these improvements. Now, if you have completely nothing, that's what you need to do, yeah? If you're like at that point where you don't have any place where you can get the information from, that's what you need to do. But I've helped you do the work for you, and so you can get this exact information, these slow incremental changes, the checklists, the template, the spreadsheets, all the things that I've been able to come up with. You can get them inside the Farm Up Academy, yeah? So I'll just leave a link in the description of this video where you can go and, probably book an application call for you to join the Farm Up Academy, because right now the Farm Up Academy is by application only. I want to work with only the very best people, the most serious people who are interested in, in starting and scaling their farms. So yes, guys, yeah, that is it, yeah? Focus. what you need to understand is that nothing comes quick. If something comes quick, most probably it's a scam. That's what you need to understand, yeah? You need to give things time and focus, yeah? Time and focus for the things to develop. And that's how I have been able to beat a lot of people who have a lot of money. I mean, look at my poultry houses, guys, yeah? My poultry houses are built from iron sheeting. Nothing very complicated. But from that point, I started out with building a poultry house on my dad's land, and I've been able to scale. This poultry farm here, right now, alone is seated on more than 4 acres. Yeah? Yet initially I started with completely nothing. So it is possible. If you believe and you want to make it happen, it is possible. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Catch you very soon with another one. Lots of love. Bye-bye.